Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today, we are thrilled to be talking to two of the great cast members of the series She-Hulk. I'm going to introduce you to our African members who are taking part on the call today, starting with our facilitator, Katia Woods in Philadelphia, KB in Houston, Rebecca Ford in Chicago, Jill Monroe in Los Angeles, Dana Abercrombie in New York, Nancy Green in Baltimore, and Niger, I know you're in North Carolina, aren't you?
Washington, D.C.
You're in Washington, D.C. Okay. I'm going to let you guys do what you do so well, and I will see you on the other side.
Jill, you have the first question.
Thank you. Didn't see it. So great to speak with you both today. I'm Jill Monroe from Access to the Life. So I want to ask, because fashion is a thing in this series, and not something that we usually would think about with superheroes and lawyers, but it's an important part. And I think that it says something as far as representing and respect. So what are your thoughts on not only your character's fashion sense, but She-Hulk's fashion sense?
I love watching episode 5 because it's another thing I didn't spend a tremendous amount of time thinking about before this particular universe. How can you dream about being an amazing lawyer as a She-Hulk and not having the outfits that kind of can grow with you and shrink you. So I just thought it was a wonderful turn in a really wonderfully quirky way, and something, we have the advantage of exploring. Personally, for my character, Mallory Book, her business dresses feel a bit like, it feels like her own kind of superhero wear, and it was quite daunting to, I think, to live up to the log line for Mallory Book, the face that's never lost a case, and to be intimidating to both of those young women all the time. It had to do a lot with her style, which is very different from my own personal style. But I was grateful for the support and the help to do it.
Absolutely.
So sorry, Josh, please continue.
No, I was just gonna, I love dressing in my 3-piece suits. Every day I got to be in a 3-piece. I always got to put on these nice shoes that felt like they just got shined. It felt so nice. So, and then of course we get to go into this whole drip broker, Pug is a shoe collector. I like to collect, I got action figures around. I got the comics sitting up there. So, I got these that I happen to place perfectly in frame, okay? Those things, that's how they're aligned, me and Pug.
Amazing. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Dana, you have the next question. Dana, we can't hear you.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Now we can.
Sorry. How does my towards Renee, can you talk about how does your character really navigate kind of the men's we have, where Dan, for example, gave that horrible comment about, tins and working with people. So how does a female like yourself, Mallory, really navigate through this whole process?
Can you repeat the comment that you're quoting again? You just cut out for a second, so I want to make sure I get it right.
Brukowski, and the
Yes.
comment that about women being a 10 or a 1 and, you can't work with them. How does the character navigate to that kind of world? Because she's the top at the best of what she does.
I think the beautiful connection that you see maybe forming that that Jen takes a little too far by asking if they're actual friends is absolutely formed, because I think, in my own personal life, and I see it, being played out on the screen, that we survive these insults by bonding together, quite honestly. We survive them by commiserating, and it might be confused as friendship, but really we've survived them together, and they're just slights that only people that are injured would recognize, And I think it is what first, I should say, first really bonds Jen and Mallory. And with such a complicated history, I think it's important that you see that regardless of whatever tension they have between the two of them, when you're coming at women in general, we both understand that we need to be here for each other.
Kathy, you have the next question.
Hi, Kathy Woods, Couple Social and the Philadelphia Tribune. One thing about the show is about female empowerment, and you know the MCU has a lot of roles for women to show and flex, and it's not just about muscular strength, but also intellectual strength. Can you talk a little bit about what that's like for you to be a part of a show that is saying she is the lead and the heroine of the story? Renee.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I've started. It's hard to choose a lot of times. A lot of times, as an actor, you don't necessarily know what you're getting yourself into, and specifically in the Marvel universe, they're extremely secretive. Even when they invite you to play, you're not exactly sure what you're going to be doing. What I did know is that the writer was a woman of color, and I did know that the producer and the directors were women. I knew that the storytelling and the vision was coming from women, and I knew some of the women that were in the cast, and to me that was why I showed up. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Marvel universe, so I can't imagine what you'd ask me to do that I wouldn't have said yes. But the greatest calling card was that they were doing something really important, and they were doing it in a way that was, I think, very brave, and I wanted to be a part of that.
Absolutely. I second everything Renee said. And also, for me, I'm honored that they allowed me to be a part of this, that they asked me to be a part of this show. I'm a dad. I've got 2 little boys. I've got a 3rd boy on the way. He gets here in December. So I look at, as I think a lot of parents do, I look at everything through the eyes of my boys. And I'll tell you, I'm really honored, and I think it's cool as hell when now he says that dad has friends with She-Hulk, because it starts, he's 5. So it starts with him, so my dad has friends with She-Hulk. The Hulk, yeah, and She-Hulk, like it's just, it starts now. And I'm just really honored that I get to be a part of that. And it's very cool. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Najir, you have the next question.
Hi, Najir Chambers of Big Gold Belt Media. So my question is for the two of you. There's a lot of fan service in this series, whether you're a casual fan, whether you are a hardcore comic book fan. But the one thing that really, truly surprised me was the importance within the themes that's kind of intertwined between the drama and the action. One, especially in the episode that aired today, was a focus on toxic masculinity. I would love if you two could kind of speak about some of the themes that kind of jumped out to you two, whether they've already aired in previous episodes or some that we could be looking out for in upcoming episodes.
Oh, there's so many. It's so fantastic. And there's no shortage. They don't rest on one because there's so much opportunity here to really expose some things and to make light of them. And also in doing that, really start a conversation. I love, in a show like this, when you really want it to stand out for being funny. I love the amount of time we took just even shooting the episode 5 with Anu, the director, to make sure that it really landed, that this extremely powerful superhero was compromised because of in the description of her by a group of men that she dated. And having to sit and put her having to use that, empowering their voice and their limited vision of her to save herself. It's what bonded Mallory and Jen in the episode, and there's something that's not right about it, and yet we did it. So it doesn't hit too hard in a way that it's trying to be preachy, but it's just there. It's just there so that you understand. Even the most powerful superhero woman in the world is vulnerable to being injured by a man that refuses to see her. And you know, in spite of the fact that she's right there, you know, so it's just something that I loved that we took the time to do without sacrificing the pace of the show or the comedy.
I love that last scene in this episode when you guys sit at the bar, just like even a woman with superpowers has to be put down by these schmucks, you know,
Yeah.
like what is wrong? Look at what we've been dealing with. What you've seen already is a dip in the pool. We go even further, and it is funny. It is smart. It is like, I'm amazed at how basically like everything that Jess wrote was happening in real life, and she was making fun of it a week before it happened.
Yeah.
That's what's happening with our show.
Yeah.
So I've been giggling the whole way through, you know, and just wait. We have a really good ride ahead of us that really hits it with the right hook, you know, really hits it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy, you have the next question.
Hi, I'm Nancy Green with Film Critique. And of course, so She-Hulk is very like special effects intensive, like all of Marvel's works. So I wanted to know for you guys, what's it like to work with that, and what are some of the things you have to do to prepare on your side of things?
It's awesome. It honestly, you know what's fun about it? It is a steady reminder of what you're doing. You know, like you're playing in this pretend world, and you feel like a kid because your acting partner has a bunch of dots on their face. You know, and like. And they have like a helmet with the face on top of their head. So like, as much as I revere Tatiana, you know, Tatiana's like walking into work with like dots on her face, you know? So you're just like, hey, let's go have some fun and shoot this thing. It's really fun. It's really fun.
I love, one of the things I love so much about, you know, shooting shows like this, you know, people always ask, you know, what's better, theater or film, or theater or TV, you know? And they're all amazing. What you see, what you feel the strongest, I think, on these kinds of sets is the power of different teams of people with different gifts. You know what I mean? It's not just like the actors on the stage or the directors or the writers. Like it's like a war, and there's this whole other team of, you know, the people that are actually making all the special effects team, and they're brilliant, and it creates a wonderful diversity of ability and talent and vision on a set, which you know, which is like it's an explosion, and what you can get from it is even bigger. So as an actor, I feel like it elevates our game to have to figure out, how do I do what I do within the parameters that work for this other team? Like it's like a Rubik's cube, and the payoff comes when you're watching the show and you get to see how they made this thing that I did work in this much larger world. It's really beautiful.
Nice. Thank you.
Ruben, you have the next question.
Hi guys. In the past 2 years, we have like a lot of shows, a lot of movies from Marvel. Do you feel there's an oversaturation of Marvel products around, or you think this is enough and Marvel can keep up with the demand of the audience?
No way, bro. I feel like the perfect amount of Marvel shows was right at She-Hulk. It's crazy how the exact amount, I feel like if we were almost there, She-Hulk fit right in. So it feels like it's the perfect last one. You know, no, man. You know, what's cool about this one is that I feel like we do fit in this, we kind of fit in all these little pizza pies of the world, because we can bring in anybody. Everybody needs legal help at some point. We can bring them in from any universe, from any timeline, bring them all over. And, you know, we're ready for you. So that's why I think She-Hulk fits in very nicely into this thing, you know?
I think if they weren't ambitious, if they were afraid of having to answer that question, do you know what I mean? If they were resting on their laurels, if they were trying to create another, WandaVision, if they were trying to imitate themselves, if they were trying to do what worked for them before only, then I would feel that way. And it's obviously it's a hard question for you to believe that I would answer objectively, because clearly I want to be in it, and you need to make more shows so more actors can be in it. But even just as a fan, I mean, I'm waiting for the next one. And it was daunting to start this one because I'm such a fan of the ones before. And there's always the fear of, oh no, is this going to be the one that's not good? Because they're all so good. And I think because they're just like swinging, for the fence in very different directions, it creates a diversity in the landscape that makes me feel like, yeah, keep going.
Thank you.
Okay, you have the next question.
Hi, KB here with Through the Lens of Lady KB. My question is for you, Josh. So Pug holds his cards kind of close to his chest, but we do know that he is a brilliant ally. And just with the addition of Nikki and Jen into the workplace, I feel like it's opened him up so much more. And now we're seeing him shine a bit. So what can you share about how Pug will continue to surprise us as the season continues? And also, don't think I did not peep that potential romance with Nikki in this past episode.
There's love between those two. But I love Ginger, so that's just might be what you're seeing, like I just, even in between shots, I'm like, yo, Ginger, what you doing? You want to go eat a chicken Caesar wrap? So, for Pug, I think that I think you're going to see his love for his work. I think you're going to see that expound. And I think you're going to see his love for his friends, for Jen, for Nikki, Pug, that's his family. And I think you'll see, his love for them, and you'll see them get closer, and you'll see that he's ride or die for those two. He's ride or die for her, for them. It's like, that's it. That's who Pug is. And he's going to do anything for them. And you're going to see that only grow.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Rebecca, you have the next question.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Ford, and one of the outlets that I write for is the Chicago Daily Law Bulletin. So I'm particularly interested in the preparation that you guys did to present lawyers in the case. So I'd like to hear about what you did and what you've learned to be a lawyer in this case, and then also how the show tries to proportion or balance the story between law stuff and superhero stuff and comedy stuff.
Is great.
What's the ratio?
Some people who haven't seen the show who swarmed, us with.
I think I'm listening to Jamila talk. Does anyone hear her?
Yeah.
Hear the beautiful voice of
everywhere. I've just been around Europe, and I've been around.
Is everyone muted by chance?
Every single place I go.
So did everybody hear my question?
Yeah.
Hold on one moment. It sounds like we're getting feedback. Not sure where this is coming from.
To be honest, I get the picture.
And it just stopped.
Yeah.
No worries.
I think if the question was heard, let's just
I can answer.
Let's just repeat it anyway, just so we have a clean take of that, if you don't mind. So sorry.
Right. So I was saying that I write for law outlets, and I wanted to hear how you prepared to play roles as lawyers, one. And then the second thing is how the show thinks about the ratio of serious legal stuff, superhero stuff, comedy, other things. What kind of balance do you try to keep the legal stuff in?
Do you want to answer, Josh? You want to go?
Yeah, absolutely. You're the pro.
Oh, me? Okay.
Yeah, you're the pro. You're acting. At this point, you're a real lawyer. At this point, I'd actually have you represent me in law, in the courtroom.
It's a wonderful thing for me. I used to think I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I married a lawyer, and I realized what I really wanted to do was play a lawyer on television. And the Lord understood the real request, and he hooked me up. But what I love about it is passionately advocating for somebody, especially if you can wear a great suit, you know. And I realized what they do is so much more complicated and so much more in the weeds than that. And so the research I do when preparing to play an attorney is really for the kinds of opportunities that I got in this particular show. And that comes with the opportunity to improv. If there's ever a moment where they let you go off, and I don't think it happens much in this particular episode, but if there's ever room for you to continue to vamp, I want the words in my mouth so that I know what I'm talking about. And so much of, I think these are people that are very, they're like, their brains don't forget what they saw or what they heard, and it's in their mouth. And I think you have to be very comfortable with the wording and the jargon and the ability to advocate. Your brain has to be moving as fast as your mouth. And so that's where I need a bit of help. I have the emotional reaction, but sometimes I don't have the words if they need to be off the page. And other than that, I have played a lot of lawyers in my life. I've been playing a lawyer since many, many years ago when I played Evangeline Williamson on One Life to Live. I was on The Good Wife. I've done, I used to feel like maybe they would let me just kind of pass the bar. Remember on The Following? I think I was a lawyer on The Following. I actually or do you kill me? No, you cut my finger off.
I have a one guest episode on The Following where I play a hitman, and Renee was a lawyer on it, and I cut off her finger.
I have played a lawyer so many times I almost forgot that this brilliant actor, Josh, cut my finger off for representing a very scary person in The Following.
That's so funny.
So what I have to remind myself when I get a little bit like, I know how to do this. What I have to remind myself is I don't know a lot about being a lawyer, and I have to do the work so that, so that it's in my mouth and in my brain more than just what's on the page. And in terms of the balance that this show takes, I just have loved where we've gone since Ally McBeal. I was on Ally McBeal many, many years ago, and how we're so in love with our idea of what the courtroom is like. And it's quite actually not necessarily like that, but we're so in love with it that we like to we play in that world, and we're comfortable with comedy in that world. We're comfortable with drama in that world. And what's beautiful about She-Hulk is now we had this history of this collision between superhero powers in this world, and we hadn't explored it yet. And I think they've done a really wonderful job in letting this collision happen in a way that's very very entertaining and satisfying and illuminating.
All righty, it looks like we have
Josh, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like, thankfully, a lot of the lawyer work is already on the page for me, thankfully, because I know that it requires so much work, as Renee, you were talking about, to feel like I know that I really know what I'm talking about when I'm doing when I'm playing a certain profession on screen. Okay, so it's like I'm always trying to do enough work so I don't feel foolish. So okay, what are these opening statements? What does that look like? Closing statements? Okay, what does that look like? Okay, great. But I think more of what this was, it was a fun challenge of figuring out in our world, in the She-Hulk world, what type of show are we? And what type of lawyer is Pug versus who is Pug when he's with his best friends. And that's, I think, maybe more of the world that I think what you're asking too. It's like kind of that balance. And I think it's one of the things that I love about Jess's scripts is that she has us playing, you can see both sides of him in that world. I like that I get to bring a youthful nature to him when he's chasing the Iron Man 3s. But I also like that when I'm defending Dennis Bukowski in the courtroom, you get to see him a little more layered, and you get to see the kid that graduated from NYU Law, and you get to see the kid who's very proud of his position at GLNLK&H, and it's very cool. It's very cool. Yeah.
Josh and Renee, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film and TV critics, we thank you for watching this episode of Africa Roundtables. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you, everyone. Please say your goodbyes and exit the Zoom room.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Really fun.
Absolutely. Have a good one.